people? We are back. A2TP podcast, episode 140. It's your boy, International Walk.
It's your girl, Tosh, the co-hostess with the hostess.
And we are back for another episode. A2TPodcast.com, Facebook, no more on Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and that's it right now. There'll be other platforms coming in the future, like iHeart and things like that. So once I get that together, I'll let you guys know. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Mentally, probably like an 8.5. Financially, I'm a 10. Thank God. Work is a 10. Even the parts that aren't so great, but it's a 10. And physically, I feel great. Body feels tight, but not sore. So that's a great thing from, the gym and all the working out, and had to miss a couple of days this week. A couple of days for work, but nevertheless, I feel good. I feel good.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. Mentally, I feel like I am a 8. Finances a 10. Work a 10. And physicality a 10. So that's where I'm at with my numbers. Make sure y'all check on y'all numbers when y'all out there. Don't forget to do your check-ins because it's very important. Wows and woes.
My wow this week, I think work is probably my wow. It's I'm in a good space and getting a chance to experience different things, different platforms, being exposed to different things. And I was at a recent work event where it was for primary care providers, and the number of Black women in the room was amazing. And not only that, the number of Black women CEOs. They had a keynote speaker. One of the things I didn't like is they didn't have any programs, and they didn't show the people's names on the screen, so I didn't catch everybody's names. But one of the things that she mentioned, she was 47 years old. She was a neurologist, and she was just, she was from the hood, and she was just talking about how, when she was younger and things that she experienced, and she related it to having a bathroom stall moment. And at first I didn't know where she was going with that. And what she was alluding to was just having one of those experiences in life where you're so overwhelmed with joy and, gratitude, and you kind of run in the bathroom stall to cry to get your tears out, but tears of joy. And I kind of had one of them. I mean, I didn't physically have one of those moments, but I thought about that yesterday. That was kind of a bathroom stall moment. Just being grateful in that moment, and it was good. So that was my wow. My woe is I don't want to get into much detail. Just life sometimes, you can be up, and in a matter of a second, it's things just happen unexpectedly that just kind of throw you off your rocker a little bit, if that's the right word. I don't know if that's a real slogan, but it's life. It comes with it. And one of the things I told myself is, when I'm feeling like you said, doing your numbers, and I do my check with myself, and those moments where I feel great, I'm feeling like a 9, and especially feeling like a 10, I want to acknowledge those selves and relish in those moments, because it can change so quickly. And then just hopefully, in the scheme of things in life, those high moments far outweigh the lower moments. So that's it for me. What's your wows and woes?
My wow is football is back this week. Week 1 games. So I'm super happy about just football being back. So that's a wow for me. That might have been a wow last week as the season was upon us, but the fact that it's here, super excited about that. My wow is you know, just the same thing.
You know, woe, you mean?
I mean my woe. When me and you not on the same page, I have shitty days. Today was a very shitty day for me. It's just, I look at it a little more different than she said. She just said it's life. You know, it's marriage is what I would say. It's marriage. You don't like everything, and yeah, so that's just it. That's my woe, is that when we're not on the same page, I don't feel good. I have shitty days, and today was a very shitty day. So moving on. What happened this week? You want to talk about anything?
You can start. You can kick it off with some topics. I'll say I know the VMAs was this week, and I guess because we don't watch like I guess you would call it like network TV. Like everything nowadays is a streaming thing. I had no clue that, you know, that the VMAs were coming. And even when I saw, I don't know, maybe I was just a little, well, I was obviously a lot out of the loop when I saw like pictures on like the blog sites and stuff of people on the red carpet. I didn't even realize that it was coming on. I thought, okay, they're showing this and it'll be aired next week or something like that. I didn't realize, like, okay. And I don't even know if I would have enjoyed most of it. I know Diddy did a huge set with his daughters dancing with him. That looked pretty cool from the clips that I saw. He did his song with Keisha Cole that I really like. I may try to find it on, I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere, and check it out. But it's weird though when you think about VMAs, Video Music Awards, the fact that, I mean, that's different than like,
go ahead.
Oh, that's different than like what I'm thinking, BET Awards or Billboard Awards or Grammys that are given out for music. Like VMAs are for Video Music Awards. It's just crazy to think people are still getting awards for videos when how many people like actually sit. It's not like back in the day where we had Jukebox Channel 65 or even like 106 in Park or what was the one called on MTV? I can't think of it. But those shows that were specifically programs for music videos. So, I mean, I know people are still making videos. It's just weird to think that when you hear artists talk about their budgets and not making as much money, you would think that they would cut out some of the budget geared towards videos and use it somewhere else, because I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that's but maybe that's, I'm just from a different generation. This doesn't seem like that's a big lure like it used to be back in the day. Like back in the day, we couldn't wait to see a video for a new banging song. Like that was just something that we awaited. So now, I don't know, it was just weird, like, oh wow, Video Music Awards, okay.
Speaking of the VMAs, there was some winners. Best R&B went to SZA. Best New Artist went to Ice Spice, and Best Hip Hop Artist went to Nicki Minaj. Also, Meg and Cardi have a brand new song called Bongos. Did you hear it? Do you like?
I did not hear it. I seen oftentimes when I'm like scrolling on social media, I'm working or on a call or something, so I'm scrolling on mute. So I kind of seen some visuals from the video, but I did not hear it or listen to it, so I can't even speak on it. So okay, with that, best R&B, is that best R&B video?
Best R&B artist.
So the VMAs aren't just Video Music Awards. It's just for their music.
No, it's the Video Awards, so it's Best R&B Video.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Okay, all right. So Best New Artist Video, Best R&B Video, Best Hip Hop. And I didn't even know Nicki Minaj had new music to have to win an award for Best Hip Hop. But okay, shout out to them. I mean, congratulations. As I liked SZA's first album. Her second album, didn't like it as much as the first. Haven't really heard any Ice Spice other than you know, snippets from social media, and I ain't a huge Nicki fan, but so I don't really know any of her new stuff.
I did hear the Megan Cardi song. It's a typical booty shaking song like WAP was. SZA, I don't know any of her music at all. And
You probably would if you heard it.
I don't know. I might know one song of Ice Spice. Nicki Minaj, I didn't know, like you said, that she had music out, or I know there's videos that people watch on Vivo. That's a place to go to watch music videos, but I probably will watch the Bongos video, but these other people, SZA, Ice Spice, and Nicki, I couldn't tell you when the last time that they had a song out that I knew.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was the recent BET, I don't know, whatever award show before this one, like in the summertime. Ice Spice did a really good set, you know, and it looked like there was a lot of production behind the set. You know, it's weird. I saw, again, snippets of Saweetie, I think it was, who was hosting, or one of the hosts. Maybe not host on stage, but you know how they have somebody in the audience with a microphone. So,
correspondent.
Yeah, and I guess without having writers, you know, they have to use other people. And they were saying how the teleprompter was kicking her behind because, you know, that's not everybody does. I've never used a teleprompter, so I can't imagine what that would be like to, you know, you want to look straight, you don't want to look like you're reading something, but you got to read it. And yeah, she was struggling a little bit, and it made me think about the whole writer's strike thing. Still, one of the things I thought about today, like, these people not like still not getting paid. I hope they had some good savings. And
it's been 6 months, and it's longer than any other strike they had. A few other strikes lasted weeks, maybe a month, but none has ever lasted 6 months.
Yeah, when we were at the gym today, usually I hate that TV being on the treadmill, but I was watching, they were talking about Bill Maher. He said that he is bringing his show back without the writers, and he even
because he can write it.
Well, and he even said it won't be as good without having the writers, but it'll still be good. And I think where he wins is that his show, I mean, he has writers for his monologues that he does, but once his guest comes on, the premise of his show is an open forum panel style debate. So that is helpful for him because you don't need writers for people to share their opinions. You know, you need, but again, the monologue part, but it just means, okay, do it yourself. Pull it out of your head. He's a comedian in his own right anyway. So you would think some of the jokes that writers are writing that he can fill in that spot. And he said, you know, it won't be as good. And one of the things he said is, I understand, you know, they have some problems and issues that they need to figure out, but other people do too, which made me think, this is just my opinion, that he was alluding to other people that are being affected by the writers being on strike. Because if y'all not writing the stuff for people to work and do and say, y'all, even though y'all not getting any money because y'all want to take a stance, these other people are being affected too and not getting any money.
Yeah, nobody's getting paid, and they shut off all production. Just the other day I read on social media, like all the ancillary production that they were doing to circumvent them not getting paid. They don't even have that anymore. So they might have to start doing other shit like drywall, laying concrete and stuff like
Uber
that.
Eats and stuff like that. Barista at Starbucks.
Yeah, and then once you get so much on that hamster wheel, it's kind of tough to go back to you know, let me just go to this
the instability.
This career, this career that has no security whatsoever. That's it for music.
Yeah, have you heard any good new music? I was listening to it's this page that I follow. It's called I think it's just called R&B music, and oftentimes they will post like new artists or even just some old artists like who maybe not get the shine that they should. Like the other day they had posted about Solange, and she had an album, Soul Angel and the Hadley Street Dreams, which was one of my favorite albums. But they posted like some new artists, and I was trying to listen, my ears just are not hearing what I want to hear in music today. Like I don't know. Maybe I was talking to Toya the other day, like, hey, like asking her like what is she listening to, like some new people or whatever. I think, yeah, she said she was listening to Sierra. I'm not a Sierra fan at all.
You have to listen to people your age that you grew up on that still make music. And not listen to like 90s R&B, but the Raphael Sadiqs, the India Aries, like they still make music and put music out that, you know, that will satisfy that palette of real R&B music. I mean, it's not no My Life still going on like Mary J. Blige. It ain't none of that going on, but it's satisfying R&B music. You just got to search for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know of any new
Friday
stuff.
has new music out. He has a dope voice, and I want to see what his lyrics are.
See, I was about to say, that's the thing for me. It's not only the sound, but it's the lyrics. Like they have to match me. Like today I was listening to Keisha Cole, her first album. And I guess that was a 2000s version of like what I call today toxic R&B, but it was different, like because she was actually singing. Like now this soft, like falsetto, talk singing, kind of half rapping vibe that a lot of the chicks are doing. Oh, it's just not for me. Like you said, that's because they're not my age and ain't supposed to be for me. I don't want to hear this. You know what it's called? That F-boy R&B. That's kind of what it's like. Like everybody is cursing out their exes or got drama, and that just don't do it for my ears. So in terms of music, I'm searching.
It's a double standard also, because women can sing about, you know, fuck this man and fuck this and all that, and the second men sing about that about women, you're labeled as a misogynistic.
Well, women are labeled as being bitter when they, and I mean, to each some. I guess if you can relate to that, if you're in that mental space, then that's probably your jam. For me, I just can't get with it right now. But like, that's what I've been doing. Going back to Black Rose, Tyrese's album Black Rose, still a banger. Album. Yeah, I love that album. Again, listening to Keisha Cole, going back. I tried to even listen to some Usher. Usher has so many albums.
Essentials, and I listen to that. I listen to 12 Play. I listen to R. Kelly Essentials. People can feel a type of way all you want, but if you are looking for R&B music, good R&B music, well, there's a slew of it in his catalog. A slew of it, and you just got to get over the, you know, separate the art from the man. And the songs still slap, and the songs still make you want to love, make you think, make you cry, make you mad. Like, they still do all that shit if you can separate the song from, the art from the man.
When you listening, do you think to yourself like, damn, he was writing this song about a 14-year-old?
No, not necessarily. You can think that about some songs, but there's some songs where he's talking about girls in general. So no, I don't think every time he say girls, he's thinking about 14-year-old girls. No, and I don't. Now, some songs you might think, who or could he be or was he at this point, because it's so graphic or something. But other songs that used to play on the radio and shit like that, and songs with Jay-Z and, you know, like In the Closet stuff, like all that stuff still are great songs. And like, I know R. Kelly has a huge catalog, but he's like 5 to 10% of R&B. Yeah. Like if you take his catalog out, it's like 5 to 10% of all of R&B.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Jay-Z and I mentioned Keisha Cole. One of the things I was listening to today, we were recently talking about how there are some artists, some icons who won't allow their music to be sampled. Like you mentioned Marvin Gaye. I know Prince, like none of his music has been sampled. Listening to Keisha Cole, I forgot, like I knew this song, but I forgot until it came on. It just goes to show how Jay-Z, how dope he is. And we just heard talking about him, about how he has given opportunities to like he's given verses to a lot of people, you know, in his time. But I forgot Keisha Cole sampled Song Cry. And that's like a song, an iconic Jay-Z song, but when it comes on and you hear it in Keisha Cole, it's like, oh, I forgot. Like, yeah, she's the only person. I mean, you can't have but so many people sample the same song, but it's like, wow, this is a big deal. Like, she sampled Song Cry on her very first album that came out. Like, so, but going back, I mentioned Tyrese Black Rose, amazing album. Tyrese was recently on The Breakfast Club.
Before we go there, I have to get this out. One of the back to sports, and I know football was jumping off, but one of the biggest sports stories this week is Deion Sanders, and I just have my take on Deion. I love Deion as a football player, Hall of Fame player, and I get mad at other people when I hear them dogging him out just about, you know, the way he care about his kids. He took his team from Jackson State. A lot of those players went to Colorado, where he coaches now. He's got 85 new players, and Deion is a real leader of men. I didn't like him on NFL Network and shit like that, but that's my own personal thing. But as far as him leading men and leading that Colorado football team, they're only 2-0, and they got some big games up ahead. But Deion Sanders is unapologetically black, don't care about what people think. For me, when he said up there, like, what about me makes you think I care about what you think about me? Like, that kind of shit just hits home for me. Like, it's the shit that black men think about that we want to say. Like, and for somebody to be leading kids and leading men like this, and these kids want to go there, shit, when I was young, I wish I had somebody to guide me like that, who cared about, you know, your future and not just football, but just giving you game and wanting you to be a good man in life. So I applaud him for that. And it's sickening sometimes when you hear people say that he's making it all about him. And if you really know him and listen to him, it's not about him. It's about the kids. So shout out to Deion Sanders, and shout out to Colorado. What was you saying?
I don't know. That was a weird segue.
You was going something about DJ Envy.
Okay, yeah. I was talking about Tyrese recently being on The Breakfast Club, and just your thoughts about you know, his the words exchange between him and DJ Envy.
That was par for the course. It turns out he was lying all that time. And so the other day, DJ Envy called his wife on the radio to clear up whether he, you know, said something off base to his wife or not. And she clearly said that he was inappropriate and said inappropriate things to her, to be a married woman. Flirtatious things and things that you just shouldn't say to a married woman. That's where she felt like, I have to dead this relationship. They still give him credit for saving their marriage and being there in a moment of their need. But Envy was right by saying he should box his mouth because of the shit that he was saying to his wife. You're supposed to come in, help me with my relationship and my marriage, and you do. And we give you respect for that. And then my wife creates this ongoing friendship with you because of that. And she clearly was saying, like, when I couldn't give him my time, or I couldn't answer his texts in a certain manner or a certain time frame, he would get mad. He would get outlandish. He would blow up at me and say shit to me. That's out of pocket. Like, if my wife can't text you back and y'all just friends, like you're like a mentor, you can't be blowing up at her and talking shit to her. And then you can't turn around and say flirtatious shit to her either. So I think he was totally out of pocket for that. And yeah, DJ Envy should have got upset with him.
So when you say he was lying about what?
He was saying he didn't say that. Well, actually, he said, not lying. He actually said he doesn't remember because
right,
he was on psychotropic drugs.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah, he never said he didn't. He never apologized for anything. He just kind of leaned on the fact, which may be true, that he was on medication and didn't remember it, which doesn't necessarily excuse it. It may be a reason, but it doesn't excuse it. Yeah, and it's weird because you know, people can watch the same thing and have a different takeaway. I seen somebody talking about it and commenting, and their message was kind of to the point of like, this is an example of you being there for somebody and them not returning a favor or not being there for you. And I think the message for me that was completely lost on that person was that Envy and his wife were attempting to be there for him until, you know, the I don't even want to say bad communication, until the improper communication started to happen. Improper behavior started to happen, and that's when he cut it off. So it was weird that people just kind of dismissed that part and just took away, oh, I was there for you, but you didn't return the favor, when Envy made it clear, like, nah, like, we was trying to be there for you until your behavior made me have to create a boundary to say, okay, I can't stop you from doing what you're doing, but I can stop myself from interacting with you. So it was just weird to hear people just kind of dismiss that part of it. But
does a person get a pass if, well, particularly him, for what he did for them, does he get a pass for being on psychotropic drugs? If he really didn't know what he was saying or really didn't know what place of mind he was in?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some room to, you know, excuse behavior, kind of, I mean, in a more funny way. It makes me think about, like, when people get their wisdom teeth taken out and they have these videos of, you know, people acting out, doing things. And I know that's different, but can you hold somebody liable if they say something, you know, during that time when they are under the influence of medication? Yeah, they still should, you know, they should probably still, they should be accountable and apologize for. But I think there is room for grace because of the circumstance. Does that mean that now I have to allow you back into my circle or allow you back that close to me? No, but I think there's some room, again, for grace and forgiveness, understanding the circumstances, I think.
It would depend. If it was a girl, if it was one of your girlfriends on psychotropic drugs that came on to me, would they get grace?
Again, the same situation. If I knew, like, okay, this person is acting this way because of X, Y, Z. Now, I wouldn't still give them the chance. Boundaries will be put in place because I understand, okay, this is your situation. This is why you're acting this way. You're not yourself, but I'm not going to still give you room to do that. The space will be created so that there is no room for you to say, do anything, you know, out of pocket.
I agree. Something I've been thinking about. We've been in the gym every day, ever since I graduated from rehab, and I've been in the gym every day, getting myself together, getting strong. And I've been thinking about diet and thinking about going to a plant-based diet. And I know we talked about this before, going to a plant-based diet, and reading about it, a lot of people say plant-based doesn't necessarily mean no animals, just whatever fits that person. But the main foods that you eat are plant-based. So whether you eat plant-based foods and fish would still be okay. Some of the pros to to go into a plant-based diet is having foods rich in vitamins, disease prevention, weight loss. It is less expensive to eat plant-based, and amino acids. Amino acids is needed for everything. Brain activity, good health, good gut health, good dookie, all that. The cons to it is the food will go bad quickly because it's fresh produce. You will have a deficiency in nutrition in your B12 and iron, calcium. And initially when you start, you can feel weak. Have you thought about this, and what's your thoughts about it?
I have thought about it. I'm not really interested in completely going plant-based. I would probably be more prone to be like pescatarian. I am working to cut beef, or I'll say red meat, because I love lamb chops too, but I know that's red meat. but to cut red meat from my diet just to see how it makes me feel after a certain amount of time. And then eventually I want to cut chicken. You know, I don't think it's as bad in theory as red meat, but the way chickens are farmed and all that kind of stuff, I think is what makes it bad. So until, you know, we could have a chicken and kill it ourselves, I don't know, I just want to kind of lean off of that. I mean, you may or may not have noticed, like for the last 2 weeks outside of the weekend, well, it's a little different because for your lunch, you know, we kind of limited in terms of options. But for dinner, I have been trying to only make seafood. So some sort of fish. I incorporated scallops, you know, some shrimp. Last week, it was just all fish. And I drove myself crazy. And I love fish. And I had to like tell myself, okay, wait a minute. There got to be some other options because I'm going to get sick of this real fast. And again, and this is not anything crazy. Like we had ground turkey on Sunday. But Monday through Thursday, I'm just trying to approach things a little bit differently so that it's not like a hardcore cut. I did do like I don't think it was 30 days. Or maybe it was the Daniel fast I did for 30 days. No, I'm not going to lie because I don't think I lasted the whole time. But I did the whole vegan thing. It's not difficult, but it can get boring. And I'm not a person that likes eating the same stuff all the time. And like you said, plant-based or vegan doesn't necessarily mean healthy because you can eat french fries all the time.
There's supposed to be 300, 400, 500 meals that's vegan. So I don't understand how you get bored.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't eat all of that stuff. Like you don't eat beans. So that cuts out a lot of stuff right there. Like that's
it cuts out beans.
But I mean a lot of meals that incorporate beans in it. Like when you talk about 300, 400, 500 recipes, because beans is a big part of like a vegan diet because
so is lentils though too. So it's not I'm just saying it's not all about beans. We're not talking about Spanish food where beans is incorporated in everything. I understand there are some beans in some things like some vegan chili and shit like that, but for the most part, the dishes that I was reading, a lot of them, it was a few that had beans, and lentils is a big thing. So
I don't even know if I like lentils. I've had lentil soup before.
Isn't it noodles?
No, they're like beans. They're kind of like they're kind of
I'm
like
just asking. I didn't know.
No, I'm trying to think like not like it's kind I don't want to say it's like peas because it's not, but it's kind of like beans but not really beans. I like in that family. I had lentil soup before. It didn't taste bad, but the bad part about it was just like if beans are not all the way cooked in something, it could be disgusting. The lentils weren't all the way cooked. The flavor itself wasn't bad at all, but it was just
so they suggest
it's kind of like a grain
beans and lentils and brown rice, which we indulge in already, but
it's kind of in the family of like couscous, lentils.
Right. So that's actually good then. We eat couscous.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see how I had lentil soup before too, and I don't remember it being bad.
Yeah, and my experience, it wasn't good. Again, it could just be the way it was prepared or
now,
wasn't fully prepared.
Chickpeas is another thing that they offer. I don't eat that. I mean,
you ate hummus.
I've ate it, but it's not something that I would eat like a pile of chickpeas. Like if it was turned into hummus and it was Greek hummus, yeah, but I wouldn't eat a pile of chickpeas. So I'm just saying they offer that too.
Yeah, I never tried it.
In a vegan diet.
Yeah, so again, I'm just saying a lot of things, well, not a lot. There's a few things that you don't eat, a few things that I'm sure I probably wouldn't like either. Like I can't eat broccoli. You don't want cabbage. Cauliflower used to make me sick, but I haven't had it since, my surgery. So I don't know how that would make me feel. Again, I'm not against trying it. I think, I just think at some point it would be like, all right, what's next? Like, I think it would be like a lot of stir fries and stuff. And then people do a lot of stuff with like cauliflower rice, or they'll make like cauliflower mashed potatoes and stuff.
So you think these people out here eating vegan, that like being vegan for, say like a Tabitha, like been vegan for like 7 years, you think she eat the same shit?
No, but I think also too,
now,
they
I know
work
she
harder.
Steps it up and eats like vegan hot dogs
made out of carrots, and you gotta buy like
that.
amino acids and stuff. So I think for the people who, it's not even necessarily having the means, having the time to do those different things, so that like you can have a hot dog, or you can have like a burger made out of, you know, chickpeas or something, or she made oh my God, what did she make? And she used pecans, but it ended up looking like meat, like the way she boiled them, and then she grinded them up. It was something that it looked like ground beef or ground turkey.
But it was pecans.
It was pecans. So again,
I seen her make bacon out of carrots, sliced real thin.
But then you got to put the liquid smoke on there and do. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm on a night when, you know, we eat and dinner and stuff. A lot of that stuff just takes time and preparation. And maybe once you know how to do it, it becomes easier. I don't think.
And if you're not cooking the meat, then there's time there to do that. Like if you're not prepping meat, then obviously you're saving 15, 20 minutes. You can slice a carrot and put amino acids on it.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to trying it. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be opposed to trying it. And then you. So when you say vegan, well, you said it doesn't mean no animals.
Vegan and plant-based is two different things. Like vegan is saying I don't eat any animals. You're going to
eat vegan cheese.
Yeah,
and
like
vegan
I don't
butter.
eat any animals and anything like that. But you know, you can eat fish if you want to. I mean, again, to cut the red meat out, to cut the chicken out is all great.
So is plant-based just vegetarian?
It's not. It's two different things. Plant-based is like most of your foods are plant-based. But you may have a piece of fish occasionally. Vegan means you don't eat any animals
I said
whatsoever.
Vegetarian. Because vegetarian is kind of, but vegetarian is like all plant-based, just no meat. But you can use regular butter. You can use regular cheese.
Right.
So you can use animal-based product. Like you can eat eggs.
Right.
But like vegans wouldn't eat an egg.
No. You would have to buy vegan hard-boiled eggs, which I
don't even know what that is.
Just like hard-boiled eggs.
But what is that made of?
Probably soy. And this is, again, not to bring Tabitha up, but I seen her make a video of vegan hard-boiled eggs. They came like 6 in the pack, already sliced with the yolk and everything, and they came with a little salt and pepper. And as she bit them, she was like, these taste just like hard-boiled eggs. So I think something like that, because of the texture of a boiled egg, I would think it's soy or tofu.
Yeah. So
that has that kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do vegan like you said. Plant-based, I think, is more digestible. No pun intended. Where we can still have eggs and potatoes for breakfast, but we just not eating turkey bacon.
No meat, no sausage, no bacon like that.
Which we haven't been eating now because of sodium.
Weaning off the fish. Fish got real bad last week. It was too much fish.
Yeah, I got sick of it. And I love fish, and I got sick of it. So. And
chicken, I can't even put into words how sick of chicken I am. I eat chicken every day for lunch. So.
Well, you gave me another option that I didn't know, so I'm going to start mixing it up.
It's ridiculous how much chicken I eat. And to have protein like that, what I also learned is when you eat that much protein, it kind of makes you big. That's like a person eating like 2-3 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches a day. You're not going to like get small. You're going to be big because that's what protein does.
Well, your body needs protein and
No, I'm not saying it doesn't need it, but it doesn't make you lose weight.
I think eating 6 bags of chips probably contributes to that too.
Never mind. Learn anything this week?
I did, but it was a lot to digest. So no, I'm just gonna say I've just been exposed to a lot of new information. I haven't learned anything that I can share that makes sense.
You sounded like it's all
because
subliminal.
It's a lot of no. It's not subliminal in that way. It's like listening to a lecture and somebody say you learned anything, and it's like, yeah, I learned a lot, but I don't know how to really condense it to say I learned how to spell.
About what? About your luncheon or your work?
Well, it's all regarding work. I attended a session with to talk about homelessness, and then about work and talking about healthcare equity. So I've been exposed to a lot this week. But just not any. It's not anything to share because it's subliminal or it's a secret, but just because I don't really have anything to pass along.
3 grams. No, I didn't learn anything. Yeah. Life is fleeting. That's what I learned. Life is fleeting. Yeah, life is fleeting. And I also want to go back to my woe because I want to add on top of that. I heard some bad news of a friend of mine, and I just want to shout him out. Shouts out to who I'm talking about. He know who he is. But keep your head up, man. That's about it. 3 grams. Go.
Oh, okay. 3 grams. Well, the iPhone 15.
Okay.
The iPhone 15. Has it been released? I know Apple does like this whole big presentation when they're about to release a phone.
I think that's what they did, the presentation.
But the actual phone didn't get released yet?
I don't think until November or something like that.
I have read before I don't know if it was right before or right after, but around the time when we got our phones, I have read or maybe we had our phones and I was looking at one of those YouTube videos because they always say, oh, there's so much you can do on these phones. And, people don't know. And I was trying to learn some different things, which I really didn't. But they talked about the iPhone 15 and they really were saying it wasn't worth getting yet because, there's been the 13 and the 14 and now the 15. And then there's already talks about the 16, which will be next year. And people were just saying I mean, of course, there will be some people that get it because they get every single version, but they, kind of made it seem like you're not really at the basic. If you have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, whichever the highest level is,
which that's what we have,
that's going to be the starting base for the 15. So whatever features and functionality.
So you'll be able to upgrade your 14 for probably 2 more times. And it'll be the same as the 15.
Yeah.
Until that shit kicks in. And they just add another chip to make it faster. A lot of that stuff that they do make new in there be within the text and emails. And I don't need to grab an email over here and move it over here and do this and keep a conversation open and do I don't need to do all that shit with the phone. One
thing I noticed with the phone, and I don't know if this was with the recent upgrade, before if you were on YouTube didn't allow you to multitask. Where let's say if you were texting, but I don't know and maybe this was just my experience, maybe I didn't know how to do it. YouTube seemed like if you went out of YouTube to something else, then YouTube would pause.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't any longer. You could it'll go to a little
small screen.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the upgrade or something because I know YouTube.
No, it was like that when we got our phones.
So it's this phone, not the recent upgrade.
It's not the upgrade. That's just the 14 Pro Max. And the 14 regular has the regular camera. The Pro Max has the 3 camera with the shutters.
You know what I thought about the other day when I seen about the iPhone 15? I wish we went back to phones that, I don't want to say, there are some internet functionality that I think is extremely important, like GPS and music.
Did your Razr have that stuff? Could you go to the internet on your Razr, that pink phone you had?
No, it wasn't. That was before.
No internet capability at all? It didn't even have a Google or a search engine or something?
That didn't have a screen. I mean, it had a screen, but that was just for numbers. I don't even think that had a camera yet. That was 2005, 6-ish.
I think it had a camera. Yeah, I think it had a camera. It took shitty pictures, but that's what that screen was for. Like, it just didn't. It was a display.
Okay, all right. So maybe, but I don't.
But it never could go to the internet or anything.
I don't remember any of that. But I wish like phones could go back where like there wasn't any social media. You couldn't like watch TV on the like that. It was just a phone for.
So everybody should have Nextels.
Yeah,
that
like just texting and
era
calling.
Where you could just chirp and be like, "Hey, you there?" and you could answer it if you wanted to or not. You know what I mean? Nobody could like get a hold of you. You can't send an email after that. You can't send a text after that. You can just chirp and say, "Hey, you there?" And if you say yeah, like the walkie-talkies, you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I think it should be a little more progressive than that. Texting and talking, that's it. Like, because I think with social media, I feel like it has exposed us to so much. It's like overexposure of people's lives. Like I don't want to feel like I'm keeping up to date with my friends and relationships because I see them on social media. Like it should require you to have real interaction, like to know what's going on with people. And then at the same time, I don't want to see some stuff that people want, you know. It's just I wish that's one of the things that it's like that new technology that it has its pros and cons, but I think it has more cons than pros.
Yeah, I agree with you, but unfortunately we're in the
minority. We ain't never going backwards. Yeah,
we're in the minority. People aren't just gonna start interacting again. Like, you can't even approach people. I know you can't approach women, and I don't know how it is for me. I don't know how dudes feel about that. So maybe they feel the type of way about being approached and only want to do it through social media and DMs and shit like that. I don't know. Second gram,
Steve Harvey?
Cavalcante.
Oh.
Cavalcante, captured, caught, prisoner, escaped from Chester Prison, right? Not Chester
County Prison.
Chester County Prison?
Yeah, he wasn't in a state facility yet.
Okay, so in Chester County Prison, escaped from there and was on lam for 14 days, 15 days, 13 days. 13. Was on the first and got caught on the 13th. So 13 whole days.
No, he was the 14. He was caught. 14? No, you're right, the 13th. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. At so 8 o'clock in the morning.
He went loose on the 1st, got caught on the 13th. So 13 days he was out, stole a gun. They said he did a couple of home invasions, got some money.
He had on an Eagles hoodie.
Yeah, had an Eagles hoodie on, had like $35 in his pocket. I think they heard something in the woods or sent them some dogs, and then they went in there and found his prison boots or something. So the DEA found him with I guess they had to, even though this wasn't a DEA case, they called in the DEA and they found his body temperature. But it rained that night, so they like kept a hold on his location, and they waited until 8 o'clock. They surrounded that location and waited until 8 o'clock in the morning and went in to get him. But they knew where he was the night before just because of the thermal imaging?
Thermal imaging from the DEA. They had to call the DEA in to get him.
That's that cartel shit.
And it's crazy because he told them, he was telling them about how, you know, he hid in the bushes. He said sometimes the people that were searching for him almost stepped on him. He told them that in a couple more days he was going to do a carjacking. That was the thing that I knew was going to get him caught because he needed money. You can eat, you know, you can find food from anywhere. You can get food out the trash can. You can find clothes, you know, you can find shelter, but you need money. And you can steal as many cars as you want, but once they run out of gas, what you going to do? Or once you go to a certain place, you can even go through a toll. You don't have to even pay toll. Easy pass. Keep going. You ain't going to get the ticket. But once you run out of gas, then it's going to be a problem. Now you're going to either face the situation where you're going to end up robbing people to try to keep up your escape and then end up getting shot or something. So I knew sooner or later. And don't get me wrong, I'm not an advocate for a murderer to be on the run like that. But he was doing dumb stuff. Like, initially I thought, like...
Who does smart stuff?
Well, I mean, initially...
The dumb thing was escaping from prison.
But initially I thought, like, oh, he done, you know, survived in the jungles of Brazil. He gonna, like, be out there for a long time. But when you go to somebody's house and ring their bell and you're on the door cam, it's like, oh, this guy's about to get caught. Like, you went to two people's houses and they told on you.
He's a Spanish guy from Brazil. Does you totally think he understands the concept of it's cameras everywhere and everybody doorbell has a camera?
I mean, he's been here since 2007. So, it ain't like he was new. He knew where these people lived. So they must have had some
kind of... have doorbell cameras in 2007.
No, I'm saying he must have had some kind of relationship with them where he knew their address. Like, there are very few people, I'm thinking of like friends in my life that like I can go pull up to their house right now because I know their address off the top of my head. You know what I mean? So for him to go to these people's houses, he knew where they lived. There must have been some kind of relationship. And I say that to say he must have knew, okay, they might have a doorbell
They said he used to work with them.
Yeah.
So how long has he been locked up?
I don't know.
And obviously he had a job if he had coworkers before.
Yeah.
But Cavalcante is caught in custody. It's almost not even worth it to break out of prison. It's you break out of prison, every news station is gonna cycle your face and and you broke out of prison daily until you're caught. The amount of people that's looking for you is a shame. What I did not like is that in the woods, they surrounded him and got on their knees and took a picture, made him stand in the middle. Like, I don't like that. Like, do your fucking job and catch the person, but don't, like, that shit's for social media. Like, y'all are cops. Like, y'all U.S. Marshals, y'all law enforcement. Y'all take this shit seriously. Don't fucking pose him in the middle and y'all all surround him with the dogs and shit kneeling down on knees to take a photo. Like, he not Osama bin Laden. Like, he's not. He's just a dude that broke out of prison that y'all wanted. But, you know, keep the main thing the main thing. But that was crazy to see a picture of him in the middle with this mean face on it. Like y'all made him do that, and y'all got y'all on y'all knees with the dogs and shit, y'all guns up like y'all just caught Osama.
I wonder who was the cameraman. I didn't see the picture, but I wonder who was the cameraman. You know what's crazy? I mean, it's weird because it's in our local area, but this was a national, maybe even international story. There's a guy that I follow on social media. He's a chef. And he goes around visiting restaurants and stuff, but he's not from this area. But long story short, in one of his videos, he mentioned it, and it was like, oh wow, like I of course it makes sense that this is a huge national or international story, but to hear somebody completely not from this area, like, hey, like in one of his posts, like, y'all see this story about this guy that escaped from prison? It was like, oh, like people everywhere talking about this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys out there used to watch That 70s Show with Ashton Kutcher. It was a good show. It was like one of them all white shows like Friends, but it was on for a while. A lot of people thought it was funny. But there was a character that played Ashton's brother, and his name was Danny Masterson, and he was arrested for 3 counts of he's a rapist. He was arrested for 3 counts of rape. He raped 2 women in the Scientology group. The third woman, there was a hung jury and he didn't get convicted. But the other 2 women, he literally raped these 2 women in his Scientology group because he was I don't know what do you call, like when you're in a clan and you go up to a different level, or you're in a cult or some shit and you go up to a different level, like a
grandmaster.
Yeah, like some shit like that. He had seniority within the Scientology thing, so I guess he had access to these women and literally raped 2 of them. But he spent 6 years on That 70s Show. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison just the other day. Did you know about this or know him?
I mean, I seen the story. No clue who he was. I mean, I knew he was an actor. I didn't know what show he was from. I had never seen him before, so when I didn't know that he was in. I just seen the headline. I knew no details, so I didn't know he had anything to do with Scientology or anything like that. I did see Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis getting some backlash because they had like wrote a letter of support for him. I guess to be like
So did Pennsylvania.
Okay, a character statement about him, but. Yeah, I didn't know anything about him. And now that you say that about Scientology, I'm not surprised to hear.
How could you do something like that for a rapist?
they obviously probably don't believe it. I mean, I would think that's the only reason why you would do that is because this is your friend and you don't believe it, so they don't identify him as a rapist.
But why do something like that before he's convicted? Like, you want to have some support, but once he is convicted, that means courts, a jury of his peers have convicted him of rape of
that
2
still
women.
don't mean you gotta believe it. I mean, and I'm not saying he's not.
You don't have to believe it, but I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, you can't be like, one woman said you raped them. Okay, maybe you didn't. 2 women said you raped them. How many does it have to be before we actually believe?
You know how many people still don't believe that Bill Cosby is a rapist?
But that's fucking delusional.
Well,
like, that's delusional shit where he's on tape saying, yeah, I like to give him the Spanish fly and the pudding and all that shit. Like, that's delusional.
All I'm saying is some people think, no, just because I don't think, and it's unfortunate to say, and this is not about him specifically, just because a court finds you guilty doesn't mean you're guilty. And we've seen that. We know that. I just recently saw a story,
I agree with that.
last week where a man, he was already out of jail, but he was in society living with that looming over his head as a convicted rapist from like 50 years ago, I think. And they finally cleared his name. So that this is not one of those situations where he got out of jail. He had did his time, but he still, which I understand, he was still fighting to clear his name.
He wanted to be vindicated.
They found out who the person was. The man who was the rapist was already in jail for another rape. But yeah, so again, just because the court says you're guilty doesn't mean you're guilty. So they may feel like, we don't believe it. This is my friend. He would never do that. The jury of 12 is wrong.
But before you cut me off, their statements was, okay, we support Danny. He made a mistake.
I see. I didn't read again. I see headlines, but I don't be.
So, and just having that little piece of information. When did rape become a mistake? Like, how do you mistakenly, forcefully take vagina from a woman and your friends say he made a mistake? Like, how do you even support that? Because you saying he made a mistake is acknowledging that he did the thing, but the thing he did, you're saying it was a mistake. He didn't mean to take it.
But you know what? I also saw where they released a statement apologizing. I think it's one of those situations.
Because their publicist probably made them. Because it's like, what the fuck are you doing?
They probably didn't realize, which is stupid, because anybody who... You don't even have to have been involved in any kind of legal situation. Just from hearing it on the streets, anything that goes on in court is a matter of public record. So maybe they didn't think that people would know. And then once they realize, oh, people know now it's like, oh, let's clear our name. I don't know what could have gone through their head. Because if you were going to say what you said and give this character reference, stand on it. If this is really your friend, stand on it, whatever backlash. But then to come back and apologize, like...
Well, because it's almost something you have to do because you jumped out there and said, okay, our friend made a mistake and we want the court to give him some leniency. That's where you failed at by saying your friend who raped 2 women, who raped 3 women and is convicted for 2 made a mistake. Like, you can word that another way instead of, because it almost hurts the victims to say he made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's why they come back and have to apologize, because their team probably said this is going to hurt y'all in some way, shape, form, or fashion financially. So y'all need to get in front of this and apologize for defending a rapist.
We just were talking about this a few days ago, maybe a week ago. People who do not have any firsthand experience, whether it's themselves or a close family member or friend with sexual abuse or sexual crimes, there's like there's a gap there when it comes to the understanding of the gravity of those type of events. So I'm not surprised. I mean, and it's one of them things where it's like, great, I'm glad, I'm happy that you don't have this experience, or no one that you love or care about has this experience, because once you do, or if you do, your perception is completely different. So it's great that you don't, get your family members or friends haven't. But it just goes to show, you know, you're living in a I don't know, you just living in a cloud somewhere.
I think that's people though in general. Like I think that's a lot of people who turn a blind eye to that particular crime.
I
don't know why because just think about in the 70s and 80s. Like you think back now in hindsight, like all the pedophiles ran wild in the 70s and 80s. That was back when, you know, you go to the community pool and you can get touched, and it wasn't like you didn't go back there again. You just probably went to the other side of the pool. Like you kept the uncle in the back room who everybody knew touched kids or touched a niece or something, but they still took them meals and all that shit up in the back room. Just like people knew, but they kind of just turned a blind eye to it as if it was like, we don't know how bad it is. Like, so we can't like exile the person. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they kind of just turned a blind eye to that kind of shit. I don't know why, but it's...
But see, I think that's different. In turning a blind eye to it and you know that it's going on, I think it's the fear of having to address a situation. I think that's completely different than not having any experience with it. So you just really, it's almost
You're
like...
ignorant to it. Like, you don't have a sister or aunt or mom or anybody who it's happened to, a brother or anybody that it's happened to, so you have no... real concept of how it affects a person. So you disconnected from it.
That's different than the people that know and they like, oh, just keep Uncle Bobby away from the kids because we know, you know, he got butterfingers, or, you know, they'll say something stupid like that. Like that's different than turning a blind eye to it and just really not being emotionally aware, again, for a great reason. Because you haven't had that experience, or your family member or friends haven't. That's different than turning a blind eye to it, I think.
Let's do a wrap. Act 2 the podcast, episode 140, coming to a close. We appreciate y'all watching. We appreciate y'all listening. Platforms, again, right now, Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and Spotify, and there's plenty more to come. We'll be in all the spots where you can find your favorite podcast. So fuck with us. It's your boy International Walt.
It's your girl Tosh, the fools with the mostest.
And if you fuck with us, you fuck with us. If you don't, you should. Peace.